This episode covers all the news from the 2019 Annual Shareholder Meeting. This is Tesla Tidbits episode number 530 for June 18th, 2019. This show is sponsored by my supporter Richard. If you're in the market for a Model S, X, or 3, please consider using his referral code. Ask your salesperson to use code Richard174 or go direct to the web link ts.la/Richard174 and pick up a 1,000-mile supercharging credit for your new vehicle. So we come once again to one of our 5 times per year that we get some commentary direct from Elon about the company. Unfortunately, at least from my perspective, we didn't get nearly as much out of this event as we do from the earnings calls. But that doesn't mean that there weren't interesting bits. Elon gave us a bit of a victory lap to start his presentation, as he detailed all the ways that Tesla is just completely outclassing its EV competition, and in some cases, all competition. Firstly, we start off with Elon letting us know that Model 3 is outselling all competitors combined, besting the Mercedes C-Class, BMW 3 Series, Audi A4, and Lexus vehicles in its class. But that's not all. Forget just its class. Model 3 is the best-selling car by revenue overall in the US, with the Toyota Camry and Honda Accord nipping at its heels. Besides sales, there's also the technical side where Tesla continues to lap its EV competition. Tesla's claim all the top spots in efficiency, including even the yet-to-be-released Model Y. None of the competition can claim even 3 miles per kilowatt-hour used, while all Tesla vehicles currently produced are near or over 3.5 miles per kilowatt-hour. So more distance for your already low charging cost. Speaking of charging, a recent test showed Model 3 to be the fastest charging EV available when paired with V3 supercharging. Yet another accolade to add to the pile for the runaway best EV available. And as far as all these alleged Tesla killers on the horizon, no competitor yet has been able to exceed the range of the original Model S released all the way back in 2012. Think about that statement. These incumbent manufacturers, which all the naysayers continually tout as the harbingers of Tesla's doom, haven't even beaten 2012 Tesla yet, let alone 2019 Tesla. Just let that sink in for a while. Moving on, Elon talked a bit about Model Y, and one of the most interesting statements he made was that he felt that they may actually be able to get the drag coefficient to be less than Model 3. I don't know how that's even possible, with the car being larger overall than the 3, and the 3 already having an impossibly low drag coefficient, but we'll see. As to Model Y's production, Elon reiterated that the company expects to be at volume production at the end of 2020, but are internally trying to achieve it earlier than that. It sounds as though they're actually trying to tamp down Elon's infamously bad timelines, so I feel pretty good about that 2020 timeline when he caveats that by saying that they're trying to do better. From there, J.B. Straubel and Drew Baglino joined Elon on stage to talk Gigafactory. Particularly interesting was the coverage of Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai. Elon noted that they may need air traffic control to handle all the drones flying over the factory detailing its construction, which probably isn't much of an exaggeration. But as of the investor meeting, the shell of the building was essentially complete. And then Elon confirmed what many had already thought, and that's that the tooling is already underway for production lines. To think, in January it was basically a mud field, and now it's a complete building with production lines being built. Tesla's goal to produce vehicles before the year is out has never looked so good. Elon also notes just a couple of the benefits of the factory, including dropping the 15 to 40% import duties that the company faced for importing cars into the country, not to mention the ability to be eligible for local incentives for vehicles produced within the country, though these may not exist when the factory is complete. It makes Tesla a far more competitive manufacturer in the world's largest EV market. Elon moves on to what will be Gigafactory 4 in Europe and talks about the extensive work done on the factory, while then displaying a picture of a random field in Europe. That got a good laugh out of everyone. But more seriously, he said that the decision would be made hopefully before the end of the year. The energy business was up next and dominated by the solar roof. It's clear that Tesla is having issues producing the solar roof at volume and in a way that is able to be installed in a quick manner, as we are still not seeing widespread installation of the product. It's currently only available in 8 states. And supporting that, Elon talked about version 3 of the solar roof. He talked at length about the difficulties Tesla faced in developing the technology and testing it properly, but he was optimistic about version 3 of the product, saying that he believed it possible that the product cost could eventually be equal to an owner's cost of putting on a comp shingle roof plus utility costs. Elon then moved on to one of Tesla's known pain points, and that is body repair. As has already been made public, Elon talked about bringing more of that in-house. In a previous discussion on this, he talked about keeping common parts in common colors available at service centers to get body repairs done more quickly, and he gave an anecdote about how the first bumper was repaired by mobile service, taking less than an hour. Wow, that is an awesome service right there. No other car company in the world does this. Elon then had a bit of a non sequitur about halfway through the event to talk about the company's ability to produce battery cells as it relates to the product lineup. He made clear that all of the new hotness we're awaiting can't happen without the proper cell production. So the new stuff is being matched on its release timeline to Tesla's ability to increase cell production at Gigafactory. And then in one of those, is Elon really serious about this moments, he posited that in order to feed Gigafactory, Tesla may need to get into the mining business. He followed that saying, quote, "We'll do whatever we have to ensure that we can scale at the fastest rate possible," end quote. And with that, he announced that a battery and powertrain investment day would be coming yet this year, hopefully this summer, to give us a look at those items in the same detail as the autonomy day that was held recently. Elon even mentioned later on that the benefits of the Maxwell acquisition would likely be discussed during the event. I'm certainly looking forward to that one. With that, we got to the Q&A portion of the presentation. One of the questioners noted Elon's promise on the availability of advanced summon. After a joke about his problem with setting accurate deadlines, he responded, kind of telling us all what we already knew, that it's improving, that it's in the early access program, but it's not yet ready for general owners. He talked about how they are trying to tune it and that making the car too sensitive will make it paranoid and it won't move. Conversely, you could be mowing down people in the parking lot. But the last quote on this was the one that hit for me. Quote, "The threshold is it more convenient to summon your car or to walk to your car? If it's more convenient to walk to your car, summon is not that useful. So it has to be reasonably fast, certainly faster than you can just walk there," end quote. The next question was asking about when Tesla insurance would be available, which I'm sure is a question we'd all like to know the answer to. Elon's response was somewhat of a surprise. He said they're close to being ready to offer it, but that they, quote, "have a small acquisition that we need to complete and better software to write," end quote. Speaking of writing software, one of the questions presented was whether Tesla would basically create its own non-robotaxi network as a precursor to the automated network, as a way of writing the software for the network and testing it ahead of time. Elon mulled this over and seemed to agree, so Tesla may be in competition with Uber and Lyft quicker than anticipated. Lastly, Caleb from the Tesla show got a chance to ask a question in person, and it was a good one. Essentially, he wanted Elon to give us a roadmap from where we are now to where we will be when Autopilot is finally feature complete, scheduled for the end of this year. Elon began by describing what the development version of the car can do, which is drive him from his home to Tesla by simply telling it to do so. While there are interventions at times, quote, "it doesn't perfectly deal with every intersection or every turn," end quote, but this is a thing that is running. I think of it kind of like I think of AP1 in my car. It gets the job done the vast majority of the time, but occasionally you have to kick it. Further on, Elon got into some fine details on what they're training the neural nets to do for full self-driving. For example, originally they were training the nets to handle understanding free space, which is, quote, "anything you can drive on that's not going to destroy the car," end quote. But that produced a result where the cars might start trying to go off-road. So currently they're training for road edge and curbs to ensure that that doesn't happen. But both together will allow a car to swerve to miss debris or an accident on the road, but maybe outside the lane of travel. And most of this is working for Elon in his development vehicles. That is it for today's show. Again, not a lot of new news, more clarifications on stuff we already knew, and a couple of things out of left field that nobody was expecting. I do thank you all for your patience here recently, as the show schedule was completely out of whack because of my travel and a lot of unexpected issues with my travel. But you only had one weird episode where I popped the mic several times with my mobile recorder to deal with, and you're getting a nice episode that would have been recorded with that, thanks to the delay that I had to endure. So again, my apologies for all of that. So that is it for today. Thanks very much to our newest patron, RP, who I got to meet out on the West Coast while I was at the conference. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and having some dinner. He joins the super patrons supporting the show at the $10 plus level over at patreon.com/Tesla Tidbits. They are Drew Schuyler, John Waller, Ryan Scarborough, Lee Sweet, William Henry Crew III, Dorian Steve Guberman, Bruno Kundici, Joey Boots, Ralph and Cheryl Waterhouse, Adam Raymer Brown, Megawatt Photovoltaic Development, Todd Sullivan, Robert Healy, Mitch Long, Zortec LED Canada, Morven Ogg, Blake Thompson, Raymond and Deborah Malkowitz, T Sportline, Michael Pastroni, Travis and Cheyenne Rush, Cookie UK, Chris Hovis, Craig Murphy, Vicky Kirk, Ricky Johnston, Bien Concepcion, Nathan Garza, Paul Gona, and Ed Patterman. If you have feedback for me, the best way to be heard is to tweet at Tesla Tidbits and use the hashtag AskTeslaTidbits if you'd like your question to be considered for the show. I'll see everyone back here again on Wednesday. Until then, keep it charged and hit the road.